Welcome to the Moonlight Tales. Before we begin, take a moment to get comfortable. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let the day fade away. Tonight's tale is called On Twilight Rails. After arriving at a quiet station on the edge of the city, you board a train on an overnight trip just as twilight begins to deepen. With a private cabin waiting, the world outside slowly gives way to passing lights, rain-softened landscapes, and the steady rhythm of the rails. As the train carries you forward through the night, you settle in with warm tea, gentle motion, and the quiet comfort of uninterrupted travel. This is a tale about finding peace in movement, about letting the journey itself become a place to rest, and allowing sleep to arrive naturally as the world drifts by beyond the window. Now, close your eyes and still your mind as we begin our tale. The station sits near the edge of the city, far enough away that the noise has thinned to something distant and manageable. It is quiet here, the kind of quiet that feels intentional rather than empty. The platforms stretch out in long, clean lines, the rails catching the last light of the day as the sun lowers behind the buildings at your back. Twilight has settled in gently. The sky carries soft shades of pink and muted red, blending slowly into cooler tones toward the horizon. The glass walls of the station reflect those colors back at themselves, warming the space for a moment longer than the sky alone might allow. A light breeze moves through the open air, carrying the faint metallic scent of steel, oil, and warmed concrete, still holding the memory of the afternoon. There are only a few other passengers scattered along the platform. Some sit on benches, coats folded neatly beside them. Others stand with their hands tucked into pockets, gazes unfixed and wandering. No one seems hurried. No one checks the time more than once. It feels as though everyone has quietly agreed to meet the evening at its own pace. You stand near the edge of the platform, far enough back to feel grounded, close enough to hear the quiet hum running through the rails. Your bag rests comfortably at your side, light but complete. There is reassurance in knowing you brought everything you need with you. Nothing will be asked of you once the journey begins. A distant announcement rolls through the station, calm and unintrusive. The words blend into the space rather than interrupting it. You listen without effort. You already know which train you are waiting for. You already know where to go. One by one, the platform lights flicker on. Their glow is soft and amber, warming the cool air around them. As the sun finally dips below the skyline, the station shifts in character. The pink in the sky deepens briefly, then lingers, reluctant to fade. Night has not yet arrived. It waits quietly at the edges. You draw in a slow breath and let it leave just as slowly. There is nowhere else you need to be. Nothing else you need to prepare. The journey has already begun, even before the train arrives. A low vibration reaches you first, felt more than heard. The sound of the train approaches without urgency, steady and assured. Its headlights appear around a distant curve, bright but gentle, illuminating the rails as it glides closer. When the train enters the station, it does so smoothly, almost quietly. The doors open with a soft mechanical sound, and warm light spills onto the platform, inviting without insistence. You step forward and board, feeling the subtle shift as you move from open space into something enclosed and comforting. The interior is modern, but unpretentious, designed for long hours rather than brief impressions. Soft lighting replaces the fading daylight. Colors are muted and calm, chosen to soothe rather than stimulate. You move down the corridor, past other cabins, their doors closed until you find your own. Inside, the space is modest but welcoming. A small table sits beneath the window, its surface smooth and gently worn. The bench along the wall is upholstered in fabric that looks soft and forgiving, wide enough to serve as both seat and bed. A reading light glows faintly above it, and a small shelf holds a few practical touches: hooks for a jacket, a folded blanket, a cushion placed with intention rather than necessity. The cabin does not feel sterile or impersonal. It feels lived in, as though many quiet evenings have passed through it, leaving behind a sense of ease. You set your bag down and pause for a moment, simply standing there. The cabin hums faintly, alive with the quiet energy of the train preparing to depart. Outside the window, the platform still holds the warmth of evening, lights glowing softly against the deepening sky. You sit and begin to settle in. Your jacket is folded and placed beside you. You straighten the cushion near the window and smooth the fabric of the bench. There is quiet satisfaction in these small rituals, in making the space your own for the night. The train begins to move with barely any announcement. The platform slides slowly past the window, light stretching into gentle lines before disappearing behind you. The city edges soften into quieter streets, then thinner neighborhoods, until the outside world becomes something observed rather than inhabited. You open your bag and take out the meal you brought along. Nothing elaborate, something familiar. You eat slowly, unhurried, watching the landscape drift by. Streets become rows of houses Houses give way to darker stretches, where trees and open land take over. The sky remains painted in twilight, holding its color longer than expected. The rhythm of the train settles into something steady and soothing, a gentle sway, a soft repeating sound beneath everything else. It feels almost like breathing, dependable and calm. When you finish eating, you clear the table and notice the small tea and coffee station tucked neatly into the corner of the cabin. You smile and prepare a cup of tea. Steam rises slowly, curling into the warm air, carrying a familiar scent that feels grounding. Outside, the sky deepens further, though it still resists full darkness. Lights appear more frequently now, windows glowing in passing buildings, distant roads tracing faint lines through the landscape. Each one offers a brief glimpse of another life, another moment, before slipping away again. You sip your tea and feel the warmth spread through your chest. The cabin feels even more inviting now. The window reflects a softened image of you back at yourself, interior and exterior, overlapping gently. As the train glides onward, rain begins to fall. At first it is subtle, a few quiet taps against the glass, and then it settles into a steady pattern, droplets streaking and gathering, bending the outside lights into soft, wavering shapes. The rain does not obscure the view so much as transform it, turning the world into moving color and glow. Twilight outside lingers, deepened now by cloud and rain. You can still make out shapes, bridges crossing dark water, the suggestion of trees, the warm pulse of distant neighborhoods. The rain gives everything a gentler edge, softening lines and slowing the world even further. Inside the cabin, the low light refracts through the rain-streaked window. Reflections drift across the walls and ceiling, subtle and alive like waterlight in a quiet room. The space feels cocooned, held between motion and stillness. You notice the smaller details now, the way the light shifts as the train curves, the soft texture of the upholstery beneath your hand, the faint hum that never quite disappears, reassuring in its consistency. Time feels different here. Not stretched or compressed, simply unmeasured. Minutes pass without asking to be counted. There is no schedule to follow, no progress to track. The journey exists for its own sake. Eventually, your eyes begin to feel heavy. You rise and prepare the cabin for sleep. The bench folds down easily into a bed. You smooth the surface with your hands and arrange the blanket. The motion, slow and familiar. Each small action feels grounding and reassuring. You finish your tea and set the cup aside. When you turn off the cabin light, the space takes on a new character. Moonlight filters through the rain, scattering across the walls and ceiling in gentle motion. The cabin glows softly, alive with reflected light, as though the night itself has stepped inside. Outside, true night finally takes hold. The world beyond the window becomes an abstract blend of motion and darkness, punctuated by passing lights that bloom briefly before dissolving again. Inside, the cabin feels like a small island of warmth, moving steadily through it all. You lie down and pull the blanket over yourself. The fabric rests lightly against you, warm without weight. The train continues its quiet rhythm, carrying you forward without effort. As you settle in, a realization surfaces gently. How rarely you allow yourself to be in motion without expectation. How often movement is tied to urgency, to arrival, to the next thing waiting ahead. Here, there is nothing to reach, nothing to complete. The journey itself is enough. The lights outside are no longer something you try to follow. They come and go on their own. The sound of the train blends with your breathing, in and out, forward and onward. You think about how much of life passes this way, moments appearing briefly, offering warmth or beauty, then moving on, not because they lacked meaning, but because they were never meant to stay. There is comfort in that. You do not need to hold on to everything for it to matter. Some things are meant to be experienced fully, then released, leaving behind only the quiet warmth they gave while they were present. The train carries you onward through the rain and night. You are supported by its steady movement. You are sheltered within the cabin. You are allowed to rest. Your thoughts grow softer now, less defined. They drift without forming full shapes. Like the lights beyond the window, you let them pass. The rhythm of the rails becomes more pronounced, a gentle pattern that invites your body to slow. Your breathing deepens naturally, without instruction. Your eyelids grow heavy. The cabin light glows faintly through them. The world feels both distant and close. There is no need to imagine where you are going. Right now, you are exactly where you need to be, carried forward by something steady and sure. As sleep takes you, the last thing you are aware of is the motion. Smooth, continuous, uninterrupted. The train glides on through the night, and you drift gently with it, resting deeply as the journey continues. And with that, dear dreamer, our tale for tonight comes to an end. I hope it brought you some small measure of peace and comfort. Until our next tale unfolds, I bid you good night and sweet dreams.